edition of Pulse. We went to Midway Games in Northern California to find out what it takes to get a job in the video game industry.
Plus, we headed to Seattle for an inside look at DigiPen, the world's first video game university.
Whether it's a programmer, tester, or artist, we'll show you what you need to do to get your foot in the door. That's all coming up right now on Pulse. Welcome to Pulse, your weekly look into the world of interactive entertainment. I'm Ronnie Lynn Riley.
And I'm Patrick Clark. So you want a job in the video game industry? Well, it's not as hard as you think it is.
We'll sit down with the author of Get in the Game, the how-to book for starting a career in the industry.
But first, find out everything you wanted to know about working in games, but were afraid to ask. We've all seen and played plenty of games, but have you ever thought about what happens before the game ends up in your hands? Recently, Jim Downs went to Midway Games in Northern California for a look at what it takes to bring a project from simple concept to mind-blowing reality.
Thanks, guys. This is Midway, the company responsible for bringing you games like NFL Blitz and Mortal Kombat. They're also hard at work on the upcoming Dr Muto. We're here today to meet the game's creators, as well as take a look at the jobs that make game creation possible. Now, everybody wants to be the next Miyamoto, but it's a long road to the top. And for many, that journey begins as a tester.
I am a senior product analyst for Midway Games West.
I'm afraid you can't do that, Doctor.
We do all the dirty work around here as far as making these games fun. There's a lot of things that people don't see behind the scenes, and that's what we're responsible for. I don't really play games for work. It's more of a real test procedure. There's a format, a test plan, and there's a lot of things that you have to do in order to make sure that it's a complete game. I wish I could just sit there and play, but that's really just scratching the surface. We're looking for design issues, art issues, programming errors, crashes, levels, things that are really out of the ordinary that are going to prevent the user, the consumer, from actually playing it and being successful. There's a switch that's supposed to activate something, and it's not doing that. They need to know why, and if it doesn't make sense to them, you have to actually explain that to them as to why it doesn't work. That's happened like deep into the project where everything is supposed to be, somewhat stable, and you find something crazy, and that can be real hectic. They're not too happy about that when you have to go and report that to the person. You don't usually get a smile out of the programmer that you have to report that to. But for the most part, that's our job, And so we're always finding new stuff and trying to make crazy things happen. It's hard to actually describe, art flaws or design flaws, programming issues. People don't understand what that actually means when they're writing it down step by step. So the ones that do recognize that type of thing and they pick it up really fast, those are the ones that you keep, and you realize, okay, this guy might have potential to do this later on. Usually the guys that go back to the Genesis and 8-bit Nintendo days are the guys that you want to have on your team. The guys that understand, where games originated from. It's definitely a long, long day. It possibly could go from anywhere from 12 to 24 hours. We've actually had to spend the night at our desk. I just came in and tried to get a job. It was just kind of like a fluke thing. I never thought that it would lead up to this. It's like all the time that you put in for it, all the time that you sat there going through this stuff, and it's just like, geez, when is this going to be over? It's worth it. For the most part, it all works out at the end, and that's what the, I want to say, the reward is of putting out a good game.
If you pay your dues as a tester, your hard work might give you a leg up at the company and land you in the role of designer. It's a designer's job to flesh out the story and the characters. They basically make the blueprint of the game, and that's no easy task.
The designer's role, in a nutshell, is to take the work that's created by a programmer and take the work that's created by an artist and make it fun. I came in immediately and started working on the story of what happened. I started talking about what his abilities really were and what were his gadgets that he was using. They had already come up with their character. They had already come up with their main hook and what the character does. But they had no idea how it worked. They had no idea what world he lived in. Early on in production, the ideas are brought from team meetings where people come up with concepts on their own and they'll pitch them to me. I spend my day interfacing with programmers on how to get my vision across for how I want the game to play. And I spend a great deal of my time working with the artists, trying to get my vision across for how I want the game to feel. You always got to keep the player in your mind when you're making decisions on what you're going to do with the game. There are times where One person is really stuck to an idea and you're going to clash because they both care about the product that they're working on, so it's going to happen. And the best thing about that is that the team that I'm working on, we resolve those. My job in itself is not to come up with everything, but to take everything that everybody does come up with on our team and put it together into one thing. You might have the coolest looking graphics, the best expansive looking worlds, great animations, your AIs are really smart, but if you've got cheap hits and you've got blind jumps, it's a bad game. I think it's very important that you play games when you're in the game industry. Dealing with a video game when you're talking about video games, it definitely makes more sense if you're playing them and then you can kind of talk on the same wavelength. Right? How do we get that damage state to delay 3 seconds? You get into the industry and it's hard work. You need to have a good sound judgment and reasoning on how you put together a game. Start as a tester, because you'll get to figure out what a video game really is and what it takes to put it together. And don't be afraid to voice your creativity. I didn't even think people could get paid to do this. You get to be creative, and on top of that, I get to work with something I love to do. When I go home, I play video games, you know? So why not get paid to do that?
The designer is only a small part of the big picture. Coming up, we'll meet the people who put the whole project together. Back to you guys.
Okay, Riley, which one would you rather be, designer or tester?
Designer, because I think it would be fun to be creative, get your ideas out there, make characters that look like your friends, stuff like that.
I think I'd like to be a tester because you get to literally play the games all day long.
I think that'd be kind of boring, same thing over and over again.
Okay, well, let's agree to disagree.
Okay.
All right. Well, there's still more to come in this special edition of Pulse. And after the break, we'll head back to Midway to find out how a game artist takes sketches and blueprints and brings them to life.
Plus, we'll look at the first university in the world that's dedicated to training video game professionals of the future. All that and more, only on Pulse.
Rated T for teen.
The enemy has returned, and from his dark tower in Mordor, he seeks the ring. We must take the ring and destroy it. But who can bear to carry the ring? The powerful become as great a threat as Sauron. The weak would be destroyed. Who can survive the ring?
I will take the ring, though I do not know the way.
Universal Interactive proudly presents an epic adventure based on the literary works of J.R.R. Tolkien.
The Fellowship of the Ring.
Rated T for teen.
EA Games. Challenge everything.
didn't mean to invade your personal bubble. Excuse me, sorry.
Watch the foot.
Watch the body. Wasn't me. Excuse me.
Watch the back, man.
Oh, that thing loaded? That's not me. Stop moving around up there. I'm sorry. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Happy home!
The DigiPen Institute of Technology is the first school of its kind. Founded in 1988, its sole purpose is to educate and train the video game makers of tomorrow through a series of arts and science courses. We went to the DigiPen campus in Redmond, Washington to get a closer look at this groundbreaking program.
Hey guys, I'm Bill Carlson. I go to school here up at DigiPen.
Our mandate is to actually create education for the game industry.
For people coming into the Bachelor of Science for Real-Time Interactive Simulation, what we're looking for are students that have performed well in math and physics.
It's going to be a serious education. It's from 9 in the morning till 10 at night.
Right now I think I'm taking 6 or 7 classes, like 20 or 19 credits, which is a pretty hefty workload.
We don't make any qualms about it. We're hard. The curriculum here is not for the frail of heart.
Every semester at DigiPen you have to do a game project. First year is a text-based game. Second year is a graphical 2D game. Third year is any game 2D or 3D with physics. And then the last year you're doing a full 3D game with multiplayer support. The grading for the game is actually based on a lot of things. Fun factor, how good the coding was, how much comments you had.
The games that come out of our upper level courses are just tremendous. You'd think that it was professionally developed over 2 years with multi-million-dollar budget.
Grab this so I can actually get into school.
And that information is the theoretical lower bound.
This is what we actually have been working on for the first like 2.5 weeks. It's a particle system. So it's controlled by the mouse, and it's just constantly spewing out basically particles. From there we go on to like a menu system so you can actually load up the game. And then from there we'll probably do some, basic sprites where you can, control a ship on the screen or something. My parents are so clueless as to what I actually do. They have no idea. Okay, we've got it set up. We can do key selecting now. Key mapping on the fly.
Oh, cool.
The thing that people underestimate most about DigiPen is that it's a school for video games and playing. And when people come here, you don't do a whole lot of playing of games.
If you say I teach gaming to people, they automatically assume that I'm up in front of the course playing Warcraft 2 and showing my students how to win at the game, which is completely not what we're trying to do here. When our students graduate, our 4-year candidates, people know the skills that we're putting out.
I would safely say higher than 80% are employed directly in the field after graduation, if not more.
Is DigiPen fun? Sort of. Yes and no. It hurts a lot more than it's, feels good to be here sometimes.
The warning would be, when you come here, is to be serious and be ready to work.
I don't want to do anything else in my life, just program games all day long, forever and ever. That would be great for me.
Well, joining me in the studio today is Mark Mincher, author of the book Get in the Game, a guide defining careers in the game industry. Welcome to the show, Mark.
Hey, thanks.
Tell me a little bit about it. The book talks about this. Is it hard to get into the game industry?
Well, it is a challenge to get in the industry because it's a technically based industry, but one of the easiest jobs to get is a job as playability tester, and that's companies will hire people before they release their product to market, and that's really anyone who's good at playing video games. You better put that on your resume. It's a temporary job that pays about $7 to $11 an hour. But really, what the best part about that job is it gives you exposure to the president, the vice president, other people in the company, so that you can sort of market yourself face to face and try to get yourself another job when you're there.
Yeah. So there is a potential for some decent pay, I guess, as you work your way up.
Oh, absolutely. All the salaries do include bonuses or actually royalties on the sales of the game. So you can make some mega bucks. The base salaries are a little low, but that's okay because you got that royalty kick. get coming in.
Yeah. What about job security?
Well, unfortunately, the industry is growing at a very rapid pace, so we've seen a lot of companies come and go, so there's not particularly security in the industry. But if you're someone who's comfortable riding the wave, about every year you can expect to get a new job. Now we're seeing, as the larger companies coming in, Hasbro, you know, that kind of stuff, now we're seeing much more stability in the market.
Wow, very interesting. The book is an interesting read if you want to get into the game. Thanks for stopping by today.
Thank you.
All right. Ronnie Lynn, back to you.
Thanks, guys. So maybe you aren't so good at math or science, but you can color by numbers with the best of them. If that's the case, you may have a future as a game artist. Let's head back to Midway for a look at how to turn your endless hours of doodling into a career.
I'm here at Midway to learn about the game-making process from the ground up and give you a glimpse at how you can be part of it. Now, while a game designer makes sure that the game's story makes sense, and the tester makes sure that all the nuts and bolts of the game work correctly, it's the artist that really brings the game to life. But it'll take more than an art degree to make the next big game.
Senior art director here at Midway Games West. I am mostly responsible for managing the art staff. I'm responsible for what they work on, what's the priorities, and approving what gets done. My other responsibilities are basically anything graphic or art related to the game, as far as ensuring a style, keeping consistency, developing concepts, what all the characters look like, what all the worlds look like, what do these graphics look like. Dr. Muto started out as an idea group. Myself and several other artists presented to the company. It was a lot different than Dr. Muto at the time. It was more adult, more scary. We presented to the company, and the feeling at the time was this is a good idea, but we're kind of fishing around for something maybe a little younger. Figured, well, why don't we just take the same concept and quote unquote twist it a little and take it another direction, and I came up with a mad scientist idea. We then took that as a starting ground, and then we started doing different ranges of mad scientists. So you basically art out a range from super young to super old, keep whittling it down smaller and smaller, and you eventually get to what you think will work. A sketch isn't 3D art, so we then have somebody build it, texture it, get that done, and then we have animations added to it. That's when it's kind of more focusable because there's more character to it. People can see where we're going. One of the telltale signs of a good character or a good project, or even a good idea for that matter, is when the idea takes a life of its own, and that's when you know you've got something, when things start falling into place by themselves. A game enthusiast doesn't necessarily make a good game designer because they're focused on making a game for themselves, not a game for everybody, and they're got a little too fine an edge on what it is they like and don't like. If you want to be good at drawing, and just as artists in general, do it a lot. Don't stop doing it, and you will get good at it. To be in this specific industry, yes, you need computer skills, you need to have some 3D skills. I highly advise, though, that anybody who wants to be very good at this, be good at the art part of it first. Don't use the 3D software programs as a crutch. If you can sculpt, almost everybody I know who can sculpt makes an outstanding 3D artist. Specifically, the thing I enjoy doing most is drawing, and I'm fortunate in a position where I can do that, and I'm required to do that.
Coming up, we'll meet the guy who moves the cars and makes the bullets fly. Back to you guys.
Coming up after the break, if you still haven't seen the job that's right for you, how about becoming a producer? We'll fill you in on what it means to be the boss.
Or maybe you've always dreamed of becoming a programmer, sitting in front of a computer punching in the code that brings games to life. We'll tell you how. That's all coming up on this special edition of Pulse.
At the core of sports burns a blistering inferno of explosive action. Aggressive, hardcore, adrenaline style. MLB Slugfest, NFL Blitz, NHL Hits. Ignite your game. Rated everyone.
Yes, sir.
Unit lost.
Making a sweep. Crusader tank responding. A little ground support. Heavy armor ready for action. tank responding. How about a show of force? Light them up.
Japan's premier anime magazine is finally available in English.
To get any closer to the source,
You'd have to read Japanese.
packed with over 200 pages month after month.
Free bonus gear in every issue.
Poster, centerfold, manga, postcard, DVD.
Free in every issue.
New Type USA. It begins where the other anime magazines end.
Log on to www.newtype-usa.com and subscribe now.
Dashing through the snow in a one-horse open sleigh. How the fields we go, laughing all the way. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Well, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh.
You've been bad, now he's here to take away your Christmas cheer. Krampus, Krampus,
You were sassy.
you talked back. He will put you in his sack. Krampus, Krampus. K-R-A-M-P-U-S, K-R-A-M-P-U-S. Krampus, Krampus.
Go Tokyo! Sorry. Oops!
This isn't your world. This is where dogs are digital and lizards are supersized. This is a temple of gaming and sky's the limit. This is Japan. G4 travels to the Far East to get a Tokyo taste of electronic living. It's Go Go Tokyo 2002. Next.
While every member of the design team is important, the programmer is probably the most crucial part of the team. Without the code that tells the game how to work, well, let's let them explain it.
Thanks, guys. We're taking a look at the people who actually build your favorite games. Next up is the programmer. Now, they do everything from program how a gun fires to how much a car skids through a turn. It's not all fun and games, though. If you want to be a programmer, you'd better brush up on your math.
My name's Ed Logg, and my title is Super Duper Game Guy. Currently, I'm a lead programmer in Dr Muto. The programmer is responsible for the coding of implementing of what the game designer or the producer or what the artist would like to see on the screen. From the beginning, there's a lot of just mad chaos of just trying to get stuff done. Later on, it gets to become the case of, well, I got 56 bugs, and I've got, these other 4 features they want me to stick in, and I've got 2 weeks to do it. They're spending 100-hour weeks madly trying to get everything done. This is not the business for the faint of heart or the weak of body. And if you think that everything's laid out in concrete, no. This is a creative process. When you come in here, there are a bunch of ideas thrown around. At best, 50% of the ideas will get put in the game. I really hate meetings. I'm a programmer, I like to do coding. But a lot of times there are issues that show up. Certain things are going to be easier, certain things are going to be doable. Artists or the game designer came and say, I want this, blah, 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 blah. And you go, no. I don't have a month to do this. I've always been part of the game industry. In 1977, I built my own computer simply to create my own games and play games. And then one day somebody said, well, why don't you come work at Atari? They do games. And of course, sure. I worked on Super Breakout, Video Pinball, Asteroids, Centipede, Millipede, Gauntlet, Gauntlet 2, Zybot, Steel Talon, Space Lords. When I started in 1978, I started in the coin-op business. It was a little different. We had a hardware engineer who probably did a hardware design for one or more particular games. We had a technician, and the programmer was responsible for the art. So yes, I just sat down and little by 8 pixel things and colored them in. And in the case of asteroids, I just drew them and wrote the numbers in and said, okay, there's my spaceship or my rock. Those are really crazy times. I mean, we were doing games in 3 months as opposed to, taking 2 years. Since was the only programmer on the project, communication was easy, meetings, whereas now when you have 25 people, it's very easy for somebody to screw up the project. So there was no computer science departments anywhere when I started. And then I went to grad school in mathematics, but at that point, I didn't want to do teaching, so I went out to the real world, as it were, if games really are real world, but to me they were. I think it really helps to be a gamer. Some idea of what other people have done, some interesting tricks, for example, visual tricks. There's software you can buy. There's packages that allow you to do, Doom-style games on your own PC, and you take somebody else's code, that's freeware somewhere, and just do your own game. So it's small stuff. I mean, just getting a flat playfield, doing collision, getting this little box to sort of run around, respond to the controls. Those are the first steps, and then you just take one step at a time, keep adding things on top of that, and before you know it, you have a completed game.
While the programmers are buried in code, making sure the game works properly, it's the producer that keeps the game on track. They're the one responsible for making sure that the game ships on time. They crack the whip on the testers, and they keep the artists happy. It's the producer that sees the game through from start to finish.
A producer is the man. In games, he's the guy who's ultimately responsible for the products. We have to constantly go through new changes and rescheduling, tasking the team, going through making sure all the people on the team are talking to each other, talk to marketing, talk to PR, do interviews like this, be kind of the voice and the feeling and the face for the different projects that you're working on and running.
It's alive! It's alive!
For a game like Dr. Muto, we started from scratch with myself and the art director, Steve Caterson, sat down and said, we want to come up with something new. We basically started doing sketches, writing ideas down, looking at other games, taking all those ideas and then wrapping them together into, here's the concept, here's the image, and then getting some people interested in it. If everybody agrees, then we move forward to full production. So we hire in the entire team, staff up with artists, with programmers, whatever we need, and schedule out every detail as far as what has to be done in the next 2 years to get this thing. It's incredibly challenging to be able to track all these details and make sure they all come together and actually are a fun experience at the end. For the producer track itself, it comes down to that organization responsibility. Taking English courses is very important. Being a good speaker, being able to actually document and write things, being able to communicate well. If you're not into details and organization, don't do this job. You have to be a decision maker. You have to be able to say, we're going to do this and here's why, and you have to be the leader. You have to want that responsibility. It's like having my own group of kids that are, all 25 or better, and there are, 40 of them that I have to live with every day. It's not this high-level job where you can step back and suddenly you can coast all day. I actually probably put in more hours than most of my guys. Generally, there's not a whole lot of times I can go home at night and think my job's ever done. When I have one person come back and say, this was the best thing I ever played, or this was so much fun, that makes my day. There's something, about video games that is just cool. It is inherently interesting. I'm just addicted to it, so I definitely, I knew I'd be part of it some way. We always had to have the latest console. We always played the latest games. It's imperative for people making the games to actually play the games. I love my job. It's just something that's pretty damn unique.
That's it for Midway. As you've seen, there are a lot of different ways to get into the gaming industry. It's just a matter of finding the job that's right for you. For Pulse, I'm Jim Downs. So long.
That's all for today's edition of the show. If you'd like more information on any of today's topics or for a daily update on the gaming world, then make sure to check our website at g4tv.com/pulse.
For Ronnie Lynn Riley, I'm Patrick Clark. We'll see you next week on Pulse.